Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Red Shirt Report, brought to you by StackUp.org, where veterans are our mission and gaming is our passion. My name is Chris Clue Miller.
And I'm Chris, the Game Case, a.k.a. Cuddles Case. So, guys, right off the bat, we have some exciting news coming out of this week's boardroom meeting. And that is, we're playing Immortal Conquest. Mortal Kombat, you say? No, it's not. It's Immortal Conquest, an exciting, fast-paced mobile game that's been all the rage with our red shirts over this last week. We are ramping up towards, in October, we're going to be facing off veterans versus nerds in a massive charity battle against a YouTuber who has assembled his own team, and then the team assembled by our very own Steve Machunga, our founder and CEO. So, guys, if you're wanting to get in on this, if you enjoy helping charities out and you enjoy playing video games, make sure you get over into our Immortal Conquest Discord and be hanging out and watching StackUp.org over on Twitter for more updates and more info coming about this exciting game. Clue, what you got, babe?
Well, I got TwitchCon, babe. So TwitchCon is coming. It is next weekend, ladies and gentlemen, Friday the 20th through Sunday the 22nd. We will be there. We hope you will be there as well. If you are, and you happen to be going to TwitchCon, please drop by. We will have a booth there. You can find us in the Charity Corral. I'm not exactly sure where that will be, but just look for the Red Shirts, folks, and look for the other wonderful charities that we will be nestled in there with. And we would love to see you. So by all means, please come by and say hi.
Yeah, and while you're there at TwitchCon, make sure you check out the main stage. There's going to be a couple things functioning with Tiltify in the Quest for the Cause, which happened over on Twitch, raised over $100,000, which is going to be competed for by 10 different charities. We're going to have some wonderful and incredible streamers competing for Stack Up. I know Commander Human, DJ Truthsayer, Resurrection Fern, and many, many more. But make sure you check out your TwitchCon schedule and get over to that main stage when the Tiltify Charity Decathlon is going down, because I can guarantee you're going to see a lot of red shirts over there.
Good stuff. Well,
so
what's that?
I was going to say, we're 7 days from TwitchCon. Like, we're literally this time next week, we will be in Long Beach, but we are 30 days until our Veterans Day Call to Arms. If you're unfamiliar with what Call to Arms is, then this is probably your first Red Shirt report. But Call to Arms is our year-long fundraising effort that focuses on two main times of year. May for Veterans Military Awareness and Appreciation Month, and then Veterans Day in November. So on November 11th and November 17th, across both of those weekends, we will be raising money across a myriad of Twitch channels. I'm very excited and biting my tongue. I have quite a few very large announcements of very large partnered streamers that are going to be joining us, and as well, more to come coming out of TwitchCon, I am sure. But guys, if you want to join the Call to Arms, you don't have to be a huge streamer. I myself, with less than 300 followers, raised $2,800 in my very first Call to Arms.
Nice, nice.
And that's not to say that you have to raise a massive amount of money. Guys, $5, $10, $100,
everything to the cause.
I hate to go all like starving children in Africa sad commercial on you, but literally every single penny helps. We are a very large portion of our proceeds go directly to mission, and I guarantee you every single dollar makes a difference. It really and truly does. I'm going to Sketch has been kind enough to drop a link in chat that gives you everything you need to know, and here, once you know everything, I just dropped a link to our sign-up sheet, get you into our rewards and tracking system, and hopefully with our next Red Shirt report, we should be announcing our Call to Arms rewards, which should be varied and valuable. There you go. I used 2 V words. Now, Clue, we're doing a whole lot of good, but I heard NASA made a boo-boo.
Yeah, it's true. For all the great things that NASA does do, it isn't out of the realm of possibility that they make a mistake. Now, it wasn't actually NASA that made the mistake, although they were kind of a little hesitant to own up to a problem. So NASA has a video game that they had, I guess they contracted it out. It's called Cosmic Quest, and it was made by a company called Creative Kingdoms. And apparently there were some factual errors and some grammar errors with the game as well. So, for instance, they misspelled analysis and misspelled a couple other words. Oxide. They changed. They didn't use the correct. They didn't use the correct effect and effect. A and an E.
Hey, let's be fair. That's a tricky one.
It is. It is a tricky one, and there was actually a little bit of concession made to that effect. Get it? But basic grammar errors and some factual errors. So, for instance, some of the factual errors that occurred was they were making they were talking about solar arrays, so solar panels in space used to collect solar energy, or on a planet that are used to collect solar energy for electricity. One of the things they were talking about was they said that if you had solar panels on Mars, they would have to be 40% larger than those around the Earth by virtue of not as much sunlight reaching the planet, which is factually incorrect. I think what NASA believes is actually got that figure mixed up with the figure of there's 40% less sunlight that reaches Mars. Not that the solar panels need to be 40% bigger. In fact, they only need to be like 1.5 to 2 times larger in order to generate the same amount of electricity. Also, by virtue of the fact that there's some other stuff that they go into about why that is. But also some kind of vernacular problems with regards to some verbs. So, for instance, the mechanism by which fuel is made, they use the word filter as opposed to concentrate. Very, very different verbs there. And so initially when these problems were brought up to NASA, their spokesperson was basically like, no, we stand by this, and we believe that everything is actually factually correct, until they went back to go look at it. And they found that, yes, there were some grammar errors and some spelling problems. And so then they went back and also started to check on some of the additional factual errors. And they're kind of eating a little bit of crow. They've got a little bit of egg on their face with regards to their initial assertion that the game is, we stand by this 100% and everything is good to go. So, Cuddles, I don't know about you, but if I'm NASA, or if I'm any company, and I'm developing an educational game, the first thing that I would probably, one of the really high priority things for my development crew and my Q&A would be to make sure that what I'm trying to educate people on is actually correct. I mean, that seems like kind of an important thing with an educational game.
So here's the funny thing. I'm going to make a little callback for our regular viewers. We talked, it was either last episode or the one before, we talked about the Assassin's Creed game and them adding a mode where you could go and learn all these historical things. And Clue thought it was just the bee's knees. Well, I argued that, I don't think we can trust video game people to get facts right. And then what angle are they going at? Maybe, there's a little bit of historical bias. Forget that shit. They didn't even go with, they just got things blatantly wrong. if we can't trust NASA to come through with a solid educational game, I think it's out. I think we're done. Like, do I not know my prime numbers anymore? From like, was Number Munchers wrong? Does the Oregon can I not float my wagon across the Mississippi River? I am confused. I am literally losing my mind over NASA getting an educational game wrong. This is, this is ridiculous. This is just NASA outsourcing something, thinking it was done, and just slapping it in and going, oh yeah, somebody made it. I'm sure it's fine.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna argue that point. If you're going to be making a game that has educational benefit, then it needs to be, there has to be a veracity with which you fact check, right? And that goes with, Assassin's Creed as well. Anything that you're doing historically. Now, obviously, Assassin's Creed is a little bit different than Cosmic Quest, which the entire premise of the game is coming from an educational slant. Now,
well, that's what I'm saying. If they can't get it right, why is Assassin's Creed even trying? I mean, really, like this. Okay, NASA, like, you screwed up. Sorry, guys. Like that really sucks, and I hate that you tried to stand by it and then it did it. Like, bold move, Cotton. Bold move. But
if not for the whole fact thing, you'd have nailed it.
Yeah, if it, damn news just can't get anything right.
Well, okay, so if you're gonna get on NASA's case, and it's absolutely unacceptable to have any kind of errors. You know how many errors are in textbooks these days?
No. I'm going to get
make educational games. Like, screw educational games. Just don't even make them, because the bar is so high in Cuddle's book.
You made my point.
Any kind of a problem, if anything is incorrect, you have failed at your mission.
No, I'm going to say, if you're NASA and you put an educational game in dadgum Kennedy Space Center, have somebody play it for 10 minutes and make sure it ain't crap. You don't know, legitimately, do you have any idea how many people go through Kennedy Space Center on a daily and weekly basis? You're disseminating mass misinformation.
Well, okay, hold on now a second. Some of the things that they talked about, you have to be in the know. Now, I'm really not trying to make excuses.
Sorry. No. I'm sorry. Does NASA not have anyone in the know at their offices? Are you really going to make that? Well, you'd have to be in that. Yeah, I'm sure NASA doesn't have any scientists that could do anything. Like, come on.
NASA's not the one who's doing Q&A on this product, though. But they should.
What's Neil Armstrong doing this week? Like, sit him down in front of the thing. Come on.
God, dude, really? Oh my God.
Neil Armstrong's dead, Cuddles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Neil Armstrong is one with the universe. So, unfortunately, he's not around these days
we miss you, Neil.
To troubleshoot, educational games from.
Maybe this is the problem. They never refilled the position.
Oh my God. All right, I'm done. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's talk about something else now that I've called out dead astronauts. Speaking of other epic fails in video gaming, so there's been a lot of kind of hullabaloo around the internet lately about loot boxes, and we have an article from Paste Magazine that claims in their title, loot boxes are more proof that the economics of video games are broken. Now, we recently obviously saw the Shadows of Mordor, Middle-earth Shadow of War game that is claiming that it's basically unbeatable without paying for loot boxes. And I think before we dig into anything, I think we as gamers can agree that no matter what, pay to win from a paid game that's just garbage and should be taken. That discussion should be taken off of the table, scrapped, and is absolutely ridiculous. Now we're seeing loot boxes in a lot of games now. I mean, look at Blizzard games. We're seeing them in Heroes of the Storm. We see them in Overwatch. We're seeing them in Call of Duty. Every game seems to be capitalizing on these microtransactions, and I don't blame them. If you're willing to pay 99 cents to have the red shirt rather than the green shirt, okay, I'm totally cool with that. I think where we run into an issue is when we see things that actually break the game and affect game mechanics. But to get more back to the article, the article is really worried about the actual economy of it. How the video games are pulling in tens of billions of dollars a year, but production costs are rising. The retail price of the games, I'm pretty sure we were paying $49.99 for Nintendo for like NES games, and that was how many years ago now? It really, we're up to maybe $59.99 on some new releases for the regular set. We're seeing companies like GameStop heavily doing the pre-orders and then slashing prices in a couple weeks. So we're really seeing loot crates as a way for developers to be able to have a continued revenue stream and have multiple forms of revenue streams off of their games. Now, I can guarantee you the sales for Overwatch right now, and this is completely pulling something out of my head. I am not quoting any factual numbers, but I can guarantee you the sales for Overwatch last week were much less than what it was opening week when it first released. I can promise you that. However, having that trickle-in income from loot boxes allows developers to keep on producing things and keeps on putting money into it. Now, this writer understandably doesn't like loot boxes. I know a lot of people are just wildly against them. But Clue, I'm very curious as to your take on, are loot boxes ruining video games right now?
I don't think that they're ruining video games necessarily, but they are when the things that you get out of them are, as you say, when they break game mechanics or they throw game balance out of whack. So I'm all for like vanity items, and that sort of thing. But loot boxes should not be a means to an end. And what I mean by that is, if what's in the loot crate or the loot boxes allows you some distinct advantage that a casual gamer wouldn't otherwise have, I think that's bad design. It's either bad game design or it's greed, or both. Now, I'm not opposed to developers and development studios having little items that, if you want them and you want to pony up some cash to get them, to open them up or whatever, like the typical model is, right? You get a drop and then a box, and you have to buy a key, right? You buy the keys from the store or whatever, and then you can get stuff out of it, like cool vanity mounts or minions, or like you said, the red shirt, which who wouldn't want to pay 99 cents to get a red shirt as opposed to the green shirt? But if the red shirt bestows you some sort of capability, like it does for us here at StackUp, superhuman capability, then there's a problem. There's a problem with that model. There's a problem with, it's just really slimy. In that case, you might as well just charge a freaking subscription and be done with it.
And so you're seeing this, to kind of wrap around back to the core of the article, you're seeing this a lot in games. We're seeing games like WildStar. And I do not know if WildStar was, I never played it, but I'm going to use it as an example as a paid game that ended up going free to play. And then I'm assuming implemented some sort of microtransactions. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort for some of these games to try to stay afloat.
Right.
And I will say there are instances where I'm okay with pay to win. Games like World of Tanks, maybe not fully pay to win, but some of the top tier tanks in the game cost a lot of money. Now you can grind it out, but I mean, you're talking about hundreds and thousands of hours to grind out $150 tank.
Right.
And that's one of the lower end ones. Games like if you want in Star Citizen, if you want one of the best ships right off the bat, you're gonna pony up a few dollars for it.
It's bucks.
Alternatively, you can grind that out in game and get it. And I think things like that are okay. If you want to pay for an early adopter bonus, or if you want to pay to support a game, or you want to pay for something that is a different tier, like just get ahead a little bit earlier. Because the thing is, if you're paying for something that makes you better in the game, the thing is you also have to be better at the game. A great example from right now, Destiny. Iron Banner stuff is going on right now. The first couple raids are out. If I could pay $50 and boost a character to max light and have all the best weapons, you want to know how good I'd be at that game?
Just as shitty as you are now.
Yep. As great as I am with my 27 light played for an hour and a half guy. So I think even pay to win, I think there's a little caveat in that where there's very few games that offer a pay to win system that truly is pay and you just win.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously, I mean it's a euphemism for unfair advantage, right? Or paid advantage, that is. Now a lot of games will actually do stuff like that. Well, they will have items in the game that you can purchase, but you can also grind out, like Star Wars or Star Trek Online is a really good example of this. Now, you could pay for the tier 6 ships, or you can grind it out through dilithium and fleet actions and stuff like that. But the level of the ability to attain those higher tier items isn't off the charts. In other words, I'm not going to have to sit there and play for 3 months in order to get my tier 6 ship if I really want it. Or I could throw down, $10 or $15 or whatever and get it right now if I'm that kind of a guy. But here's the other thing too is, and you kind of touched on it, where you have a pay-to-play game. So you have either a game that you pay for initially and then you can play forever, or you have a subscription-based game. Usually when they go payless, when they go free-to-play, to me that's a signal that the game is in its death throes, or that they have had such a migration of players away from the game that they have to do something. And so out of either desperation or just to try to squeeze as much out of it as they possibly can, they'll get these sorts of things where you get these crates and you get, here, give us money and we'll give you all the cool shit that, you had to go grind for beforehand. I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, I can understand it, but I think it's just slimy. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I do want to point out is one of the big points of this article is we got a lot into pay to win here, but one of the big points of this article is a lot of devs are going to this because it's all they have. With the fact that game prices haven't changed, development costs surely have gone up. I guarantee you, the average game developer, which isn't even the same job from now to Nintendo Entertainment days, gets paid much more, and there's a much larger team, yet games cost the same. You have GameStop cutting prices. You have Steam. I mean, as a PC
gamers
gamer,
out there, though.
Well, as a PC gamer, though, it takes a lot for me to buy a full-price title when I know that in 6 to 8 months, I'm going to be able to buy it for $4.99 in the winter sale.
Well, another big thing, though, going back kind of historically, is the price that you would have to pay for a distributor to put product on shelves was gigantic, was huge. But nowadays, when you have digital downloads and stuff, you don't have to pay for store space and shelf space. That's a huge savings.
Yeah, but also you have to think if you want to be in the right place digitally, and you're not a large enough studio to have your own launcher and your own distribution system and support and back all that up, guess who you're working with? You're working with Valve.
Yeah.
And and Valve is not traditionally the most generous of proportions for developers, but it's a necessary evil that they all work with, because where do all your video games live? Right. That's where even my games that aren't in there, if it doesn't require an external launcher, it still launches through Steam. Right. And I mean, it's one of those things. Things may be different, but it doesn't necessarily. Excuse me. It does not necessarily mean that they have been made better. Things are simply different.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But here's a really good segue, making things better. We can make some things better through video games. Even though the video game development process may or may not have improved over the years, the use of video games and the benefits that they have expanded widely. Columbus, Ohio, there is a hospital that is using video games for stroke victims. So people that have suffered strokes have lost some portion of mobility or cognition. They've been actually using video games as therapy. Now, it's no surprise, if you've watched any of our reports, there's a huge benefit in a myriad of different areas for video games of people recovering, whether it's PTSD, whether it's just stress relief. Medically, there's medical reasons for it. Well, one of the things they've been doing with stroke victims is they've been using it to improve hand-eye coordination, in the sense that a lot of times when you have a stroke, you lose motor function on one side of the body or the other. If you're lucky, that's all if you're lucky, you survive it. But so video games have been helping stroke victims regain their motor control. In a variety of different ways. And so it's a huge benefit, very great, very good thing. One of the things they've also been doing is things like VR. So VR requires a certain amount of interaction with the environment, but it also allows you to make mistakes without suffering the consequences. So, for example, one of the examples that they gave was there's one lady that is undergoing treatment, and she's using video games for treatment. The ability to just pick something up. If she were to go out into a store or any place like that, she tried to pick something up and drop it because she just doesn't have the function in her hands like she used to after surviving the stroke. The consequences could be worse, right? You got shattered glass, you have to bend down and pick your stuff up. So there's some problems associated with doing things in real life. However, with VR and those sorts of interactive models with gaming, dropping something you're not defeated. It's less of a failure. It's just part of the therapy process. So there's a lot of good stuff that happens with VR. So another thing that they were doing was consoles. So consoles allow physical therapy to happen outside of the hospital, which is another great benefit to video games as a form of therapy, as particularly physical therapy. So imagine if you have to have physical therapy for your arms, your hands, motor controls, and the only place that you can go to do this is the hospital. Pain in the ass, right? But if you can get $100, $200 console, bring it home, you can conduct your physical therapy at home. So it allows more of therapy to happen in a more controlled environment, but also more widely available. So, Cuddles, we've talked quite a bit about the benefits of video games in the medical sense. What are your thoughts? Is this having something like this, is this another validation from the medical community about the benefits of gaming?
Oh, definitely. This is, we had something we didn't mention in the Red Shirt Report is we had an actual boardroom meeting this weekend with the board members of StackUp and all of the staff. And one of the big things that came up was things like this. And we're seeing this more and more and more and more of therapy helping not just veterans, but civilians. And the positive impact that gaming is able to have across all spectrums. Just, I think I say this every episode, and I think I say that every episode, and then probably this, and then the other thing that's about to come out of my mouth, which is, I think it's truly wonderful and amazing that we're getting so much attention. Anyone that is a gamer, anybody that has ever played a video game for any length of time or considers himself a gamer, can easily tell you anecdotally how video games have helped them. Be it, oh, I had a tough breakup and, my online friends were there for me, to I was going through a divorce and my online friends were there, or this game really allowed me to throw myself into it. Our very own founder, Steve Machuga, credits Final Fantasy Tactics with helping literally, and I don't say this as a cliche or flippantly, but helping to keep him sane during his deployments. I don't know how many vets we've heard of that World of Warcraft has brought them out when they've come back from a deployment or when they're dealing with something, and it's game after game. Destiny, you name a video game. Candy Crush has probably helped somebody out there. I guarantee it. But now having these real scientific studies and seeing people go out and doing news articles on it is so amazing and so wonderful. And I'm fully excited for the future of video games and being able to explore the new and fantastic ways that we can use what for many of us is a hobby to really help others return to a quote-unquote normal life.
It hadn't occurred to me, actually, about using sort of some of the VR stuff as a means of physical therapy, because they have those little, what are those, like little trigger, the little things like Oculus has and Vive, or I think Vive has them, but they're the little things.
Yeah, they're little handheld controllers.
Yeah, that allow you to say, I'm going to, Oculus Touch has that, right? Where it's like, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to, the lady was talking about mountain climbing, right? They have like the VR mountain climbing thing. Now, obviously, if you're suffering from a stroke and you have no mobility in your hands, you're not going to go rock climbing. But you can virtually, and it allows that hand-eye coordination to allow her, and it just kind of rebuilds that muscle memory. And so using VR and using even just regular game controllers, I mean, we all know, hell, I have a problem doing some of these things sometimes. You've got a lot of hand-eye coordination that has to go in to what it is that you're doing. And so just by virtue of the medical community using things like this, for physical therapy, for mental health, for spiritual fitness, for all of these different things, it's validating. It's very validating, at least for me personally, working with StackUp to say, look, yeah, what we're doing is real. I mean, we knew this just by virtue of our aerosol programs and the feedback we've gotten from our supply crate programs. And all of the stacks out there who are with vets and civilians who are going out and having a good time with each other. We knew this already, but having it validated in an academic setting is huge. For me, it's huge.
Oh yeah. For me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, we've seen this for years. It was just waiting on the doctors to, waiting on the guys in white coats to figure this shit out for themselves. So, guys, that is going to bring us to the end of the show this week. We have a couple things that I want to throw at you before we do. First and foremost, coming up on Friday the 13th, that's right, we have a Friday the 13th in October. Oh my gosh, the stars have aligned. Pumpkin will grow legs, and Michael Myers will hunt you down. Or probably Jason would be a better.
Whatever.
I did that. I did that.
You're right, Mike Myers.
No, because we're talking about Friday the 13th, the game.
Right.
It's incredible, and we're raising money on it. And I've just totally lost my train of thoughts here. There we go. There's our Tiltify team for Friday the 13th. I am so glad that I don't words on the internet for money. But there is a Tiltify team that you can join in if you want to join us from 11:59 p.m. on Thursday night until 11:59 p.m. on Friday. Whatever your time zone is, wherever you are in the world, you can join our team. You can raise money for Stack Up and have a hell of a lot of fun playing an absolutely wonderful game. I have to say, Fear the Gun has had this game in development. I think I first heard about it 3 or 4 years ago. And this is one of the games that has been like up at the very top of the list of anticipated games for me. I will be playing this myself on Friday the 13th, and I will be joined by at least 55 other streamers now confirmed on our team, including some rather large names, including the Misfits Gaming team and Benefits, everyone's favorite monster.
Nice. Awesome.
Now, don't forget to join the Red Shirt Raiders tonight. If you would like, they are playing PUBG. You can go to bit.ly/RSR Discord. Jump in there, and not just tonight, but pretty much every night. Those guys are playing PUBG. They're getting down on some Destiny. I've seen a lot of Fortnite getting down on, and we got the Immortal Conquest thing coming up.
Yeah.
So get in Red Shirt Raiders and do your things, guys. On behalf of myself and everyone at Stack Up, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Be good to yourselves.
Good night, folks.
And be good to each other.
I'll be good to you, Cuddles, if you be good to me.
Please do. Hold me close now, Tiny Dancer.